Artificial intelligence is such a hot topic. Today's guest says all businesses, big and small, can apply AI and use big data to grow exponentially. Let's go. Episode 270 features Asha Saxena, professor, entrepreneur, author.
I hate going to the doctor's office and waiting for hours to get my turn and then, really not knowing what really happened to me. That 10 tests I have to go through and wait for the results. But imagine having AI who understands my genetic code and knows what issues I could have and actually give me a personalized medication.
Hey, Inspired Moneymaker. I'm Andy Wong, financial advisor at Runnymede Capital Management and host of the Inspired Money podcast, where we share positive perspectives on money so we can make a bigger impact in our communities and in the world. I took a couple of weeks off from publishing the podcast because work got busy. We're also doing a lot of work behind the scenes in preparation to experiment with changes to the show, like live streaming the interviews. I want Inspired Money to be more interactive. I welcome your feedback on how to make Inspired Money better for you. Please stay tuned. We've got Asha Saxena on the show. She's an Amazon bestselling author, CEO of Women Leaders in Data and AI, Columbia professor, and public speaker. AI is a hot topic right now, so I read her book, The AI Factor: How to Apply Artificial Intelligence and Use Big Data to Grow Your Business Exponentially. If you're a small business owner like me, don't you wonder how AI can help your business? As you're about to hear, these technologies affect every aspect of our business and personal lives. As business leaders, we must understand, adapt, and utilize technology to produce extreme growth in our companies. In this episode, you'll learn about companies that we interact with every day and how they use AI to improve customer experiences, following the data to identify business trends, and how to implement a systematic approach to applying technology in your business. Now let's get inspired with Asha Saxena. Asha, welcome to Inspired Money. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in. What's your earliest childhood memory of money?
I remember being a child of an Asian parent. My mom taught me how to save from the very early days. And I remember she would say, if you save your dollars and when you make it to 100, I'll give you a big bill of 100. So I remember that if you save, you will get a bigger bill. And so as a child, I would save all my pocket money or any gifts I got in cash. I would save it so that my mom could give me a bigger bill. And that was like a game for me. And I just learned about saving from then.
So you were eager to get the $100 bills.
Yes.
So you pursued entrepreneurship really early, I think age 24. Was that scary?
It was very scary, but I also say that the ignorance is a bliss because you don't know what you're really doing and you just jump right in and then you learn how to swim. And I feel that's what happened with me. Go ahead.
That you're always learning to swim?
I think I am. I'm somebody who says yes more than I say no. And so I jump right in and I try to figure out how I'm going to learn as I go and try to explore. I feel like I'm curious by nature. So I'm always curious about learning new things, applying new things, and trying to see how I can take what I've got and make the most of it.
So you've built and sold 3 successful businesses, I think. You have a computer science engineer background. You're teaching at Columbia to graduate students, and you wrote a book, AI Factor. Artificial intelligence is such a hot topic right now. In movies like Her and Terminator, there are narratives about AI that are compelling, but also kind of scary. So in your experience, is AI something to fear?
So, it's a great question because I feel anytime there's something new, which we don't know of, we think it's scary. When there are two sets of thought process around science. Some people think science is good. Some people think science is bad. When the Industrial Revolution was happening, people thought that was bad. And some people thought it was good. when there's new medication or drug comes out, people have, two opinion. So no matter what you do in life, the unknown is always scary. And I think that's what people fear about is the unknown. And that's why they said the best user of technology are the people who invest in learning about it. The more you learn, the better it becomes for you to embrace it and use it for good. So an educated buyer is a good buyer. An educated, right? Is that what we say? Educated consumer of product is a better consumer of products. So if you are fearful, it's okay. That tells you that you just need to go out and dig in and do a little bit more research and learn.
Well, I really want to learn because, one, I think as an investor, we have to understand what companies are going to be arising and, really being the change makers of right now and the future. But then as a business owner too, we have to pay attention to AI because you say it's not just for the biggest companies. Can you give us some real world examples of how AI is already impacting our lives? Some things that we're not even thinking about.
Absolutely. And I feel AI is already here. So a lot of companies think that advanced technology or AI or deep mind or machine learning is all for big businesses. Big businesses have the money to invest in technology so they can really play with it, figure out how to use it. But we always fear, we are not there yet. We are not ready yet. And we never really jump into it. Listen, when I started writing the book, the whole inspiration for me to write the book was because I was working with a management consulting firm as a partner with CEO coaching, and we would work with private equity, and my portfolio was about 12 to 15 CEOs. We were building the businesses, and everybody consistently asked me, Asha, you worked in data. How do I use data? And I don't know how to use technology to advance our businesses. And I realized that there was a lot of ignorance or lack of awareness about technology within the business leaders. And so I started this journey of writing the book to really showcase the examples that if you're not embracing technology, especially the data you have, and use it for automation, AI, machine learning, whatever it may be, for good, for your benefit, you will be left behind. We have been using artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is when machines can act like human in a way that they can predict, they can create patterns, they can recognize the pattern, and can give us an answer, a possible answer. Would that be a right answer? Probably not, or probably yes. It depends upon the accuracy of the model. If the model is accurate, it'll give you a better answer. If the model is not accurate, it'll not give you the right answer. So it's the loop the models go in to give you the output that we are looking for. This all started in 1950s and 60s. We still had robotics, we had artificial intelligence, but we were not ripe. We were not ripe for the growth because we didn't have big data. Artificial intelligence consumes data to become better. So when we talk about ChatGPT, everybody's talking about ChatGPT. And I love those examples when people throw and say, oh, it gave the wrong answer, or it's not getting the, and then people will say that, listen, the reason it's not giving you the right answer because the data is still 2021 and it's getting updated. So the feedback loop for the data is important. So artificial intelligence has been around for for almost a decade or several decades. But what really is important now is that we are using AI in Siri, in Alexa, in how we purchase products on Amazon. The recommendation engine is a part of AI. How we understand the traffic, predicting what the traffic would be, or the weather. There's so many examples in every single day that we're using artificial intelligence without really understanding that we're using. Artificial intelligence has become a part of our lifestyle. What we really want to understand is that as a small business, if you're not using artificial intelligence, you're going to get left behind. Large businesses are experimenting, but when the large businesses use artificial intelligence to really take the benefit of it, they can see the results.
I want to ask you about one of the big businesses that you use as an example, because so many coffee chains and retailers have tried to mimic Starbucks. Can you give us some context of how Starbucks really has created a moat with its use of data?
So it's a great question. And I love that example because, I've given several examples in my book about how large businesses like Starbucks, Harris Casinos, Domino's Pizza, Netflix have used artificial intelligence or data to take the advantage in their through their competitors. Listen, Netflix came in when there was Blockbuster, who was a big chain of videos rental. And Netflix came in and started mining the data to make sure they understand their customer behavior. Harris Casinos was losing money to completely change it by understanding what their consumer wanted. Starbucks stocks was going down, but they took the data of their consumer and said, we will give you the points. Now they understand when the consumer purchased the product, what kind of product do they like. Now, once you have so much data to understand what your consumer want, you can now launch new products. You can open new markets. You can add perks like discounts or different flavors at the hour of the day, based upon what the data is telling you. Data can give you a lot of information, and if you use the machine learning or artificial intelligence, you can now start predicting. All these businesses that I talk about in the book have shown the shift of growth within their business when they use the data effectively and use the artificial intelligence to see the result in growth, market share, or launching new products.
I think that Starbucks just identifies me as a very bad customer because I really only use the app and go to the store on my birthday for my free drink. But they know that about me, and
I was going to say that, and they probably know about that.
Right. So that's valuable information. How does like a Domino's Pizza become a technology company?
Can you believe that? And they're known for that. If you read a case study, they have a wonderful case study on that business where they were not a tech-savvy company. They were there to make the best pizza they could make, and they converted that business completely into a data business. Now when you call Domino's, they know your name, they know what pizza you ordered last time, they know what pattern you have, and they completely changed their model by really understanding what their customers wanted. Imagine the pizza quality or the pizza style or the product they launch within the pizza category is now based upon what their consumer really want. Serving your consumer to what they want and changing and pivoting, because nothing stays the same in business. You have to constantly evolve in your business to see what the trends are in the market. And you cannot ever find out the trends if you don't capture the data and have automated. And that's what machine learning does. It looks at the data, looks at the trends, and can give you recommendation of what product, what preference your consumer have to serve your consumer better. So it's win-win for both. It's win for the company because now they're getting an engaged consumer, and it's win for a consumer because they're getting a personalized service. The organization understands what your needs are and what you really want.
I mean, there's the data, right? But at the end of the day, it's how do you translate that data into the best possible customer experience?
Exactly. And that really comes from, and if you think about it, is that data is raw. If you don't mine it and use models on it, you cannot get the output. So that's what artificial intelligence is called. Anything around data science, you probably heard the buzzword data science, machine learning, deep learning. All those analytics are now going under the big umbrella of AI. Artificial intelligence really is taking the data science, taking the machine learning, and giving you the output of what the organization can get benefited by.
As a business owner, do we need to define those terms and understand the difference between deep learning, machine learning, AI, or does it not really matter?
So what you have to do is you can't get stuck on the terminology. What you need to get stuck on is the output you're looking for. How the method could be, any of those methods could be used. Based upon what the output is, what you're looking for, what your business goals are, technology is just a tool. So those verbiage, it's good that you understand that, it's good that you educate yourself on it, but ultimately what you're really looking for is the output. What technology or what tool do you use? An engineer can probably pick the right tool for you, can pick the right model, can pick the right algorithm, can pick the right methodology. But really what you need to define, and I talk about in my book, is that really you need to start with your business strategy. Where is your organization going? What is the output you're looking for? And then you need to make sure that the data readiness. So I talk about 4-step process in the book. And the very first step is about having the data readiness, knowing what do you want out of what is your business goal? Are you focusing on the growth of the business, market share? And I define that into 4 quadrants. I say, listen, if you're just in an optimizer mode, that I want to create efficiency in my business, you want to use the data to create efficiency. Or you could be an innovator where you're saying, you know what, I want to focus on launching new products. Or it could be, I want to capture market share, more market share. So I'm an extender. Or I want to change the business model like Netflix did, and I'm a multiplier. So understand which quadrant do you fall under. Are you an optimizer? Are you an innovator? Are you an extender? Or are you a multiplier? So once you know what your business goal is, then you can get the data ready to get you the results, what you're looking for. Technology is really a tool to get you there. Using data effectively, using AI effectively is really what you want to make sure you can position to the, as a goal, end goal.
I mean, as a small business owner, I'm not sure that we have the resources to manage the data. I don't know if using AI more likely is me and my staff using ChatGPT.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Andy, because it's really such a great question, because a lot of people get stuck in that thought process. I'm a small business. Do I need resources? Do I have the skill set? First thing what you need to understand is collecting data. Do you have the knowledge of collecting the right data from your customers? So that's first step is data collection. Are you collecting the right data? And if you're not collecting the right data, can you start that process at least as a startup entrepreneur? You are in a great place because you can start building the platform from the very beginning. So make sure that you're collecting the right data from your customers, from your vendors, from your suppliers. Once you're collecting the data, there are tons of AI models available in the market now at no cost or at very low cost. So you can very quickly get engaged with these models which are pre-built already to start using those models to apply to your business. So we are not in that era where we are hand coding everything and starting from scratch. We live in an era where a lot of the models are pre-built already. We don't have to do coding from scratch. So it's much easier, much economical to jump into AI now than ever before. So it's a great time. If you're a small business, you want to adopt these technologies because it'll get you a jump start into the next level.
There are so many tools for the non-coders, thank goodness.
Exactly. And again, that's the reason I wrote the book, is that you can, and the book gives you a little window into what these technologies are, how can you use them, and a little bit of framework. Pick any book. I always say the leaders are readers, so you have to just, something you don't know and you're fearful of, pick up a book and read about it. Get some knowledge to get the comfort to jump into it. As long as you can jump into it and start, at least create small wins, you'll start tasting the product, the outcome of a technology solution.
I want to ask you about ChatGPT because I think content creators are using it a lot. Writers can use it to either write or just generate a lot of different ideas. I've seen it really interestingly used by some writers, just testing tone. They can change the tone of what they're trying to write. And it really, brings up some interesting thoughts and ideas so that when they write their final draft, they can try all these different things. And the machine has done it for them. They didn't have to sit there saying, I want to write this in an inspiring way. I want to write this in like a more thoughtful or reflective way. The machine can do that for them. But I did notice in your book that you said that GPT-3, it's so exciting that it's been showing emergent qualities, the abilities that its developers didn't expect it to have. To me, that has a ring of scariness to it. So I wanted to ask you, is that scary? How do you interpret that?
So listen, technology can be used for good or bad. It depends upon the person. It depends upon in the hand of humans, how they use it. So in the ChatGPT scenario example which you gave, it's a feedback loop. When you're working with algorithms, it works with the data, it gets trained on the data. It depends upon the training set of the data that the algorithm gets trained and learns from. So it's like human, they learn from the data that's provided to them. The more you give the feedback and you correct it, you could say this is wrong and this is the right thing. It will learn from the data that you feed. Now, if you feed the wrong data, the algorithm is going to learn the wrong things. If you're going to feed the good data, it's going to learn the good things from the data. So we are in the era, Andy, that human and AI is collaborating together. And that's why it's so important that responsible ethical AI is critical at this stage, because anytime you as a user or you as a creator of AI is working, it is so important to be ethical and responsible. You have to make sure that when you're interacting with these models, you're using it effectively and responsibly. You cannot corrupt the algorithm. You can't give the algorithm bad data or bad information because it just amplifies that.
Yeah, I'm curious about the ethical and sustainability part, because that sounds like it really comes down to the user. And unfortunately, we know that there are bad people out there too.
And that's why we are working on the regulation. There's a lot of work going on the regulation and the governance of data, and how organizations are very involved in making sure that there is a governance and effective governance around the data. So it depends upon if you're a small business or a large business, effective governance is critical as you're working with technology.
Now, March 8th was International Women's Day. How do we eliminate AI bias or algorithm bias?
Listen, as I said, the algorithm, all the algorithms are based on the actual data. You want to remove the bias. We live in the world which is biased. We live on the internet which is biased. So if we as a society want to eliminate the bias in AI, we need to start from our own home. It is so important in our organizations, we make sure we are conscious about creating diversity. We're conscious about trying to eliminate biases. It has to be a conscious decision for organization and for leaders and for people. And I always say leaders doesn't mean you have a title. Leader could be anyone who feels or takes the responsibility of creating a change. So as a leader, I run this organization called Women Leaders in Data and AI. And we are a mission-based organization, and our goal is to bring senior leaders, women leaders, parity and equity in Fortune 1000 companies. And what we say is that if we can change the data of the real world, we will change the data. We will change the output of the algorithm, because the algorithms look at the data of the real world and get trained on it. So we need to consciously make an effort to bring parity and equity in our organization, in our life. What you do today, you're creating history. And you and me we don't want to create a history where we are building a future for our next generation which is biased and is not accurate. Listen, we live in the world which was designed by men for men to work. We need to build a digital world in which we have equality. We have all gender, all ethnicity, all ages combined together, creating a world for parity and equity. And so my call to action for everyone who's involved in AI or not involved in AI, we all are building our digital world. And we do have to do something today. I say, what is your legacy? Listen, pandemic has told us that we all are not going to be here for too long. But what we do today and what the kind of world we leave for tomorrow is so critical that we do the right thing. And that's our organization, and that's my mission. Hopefully we can do a little bit of change every day to make this world a better place.
Well, kudos to your organization. That is a big mission. And there's a lot of room to close that gap to make things more equal. It's been really interesting and thought-provoking seeing things like Midjourney or Lensa and looking at the images, and very clearly you can see the bias of, oh, this is what like the masses define as attractive. You know what I mean? And
yes,
it's just such an interesting study to see what the machine outputs, knowing that the data is coming from a like biased human lens.
Yes, and so that's why, a lot of data scientists who are working with this data, they're consciously trying to create a diverse data set. So they look at the data set, and if they see that it's not diverse, they're trying to make an effort to create synthetic data to add to the real data to create a more diverse data set so we can get the right answers. But again, if we don't make that happen in the real world, our digital world is going to have an impact.
Can you talk about Coda Coffee? Because it seems like that is just a fantastic example of not a Starbucks, but the founders, Tim and Tommy Thwaites, I think, they're really embracing technology and using it to their company's advantage.
So listen, what I want to talk about is that what Coda Coffee is doing or what Starbucks is doing is really trying to understand the behavior of the customers. If you can mine the data to understand what my trends are or what my predictions are, that helps us change our company's direction and create the growth in the direction which we want to go in.
Asha, how do we future-proof our jobs and really try to identify like trends so that we know where things are going and that we can take advantage of those trends?
Listen, I think we're in such a great place. People are talking about, are we going to lose jobs to AI? And we probably will. What will happen is that we as human beings are going to will be forced to be more creative. We are going to have AI helping us, assisting us, but humans will have to really jump in to be more creative about whatever field we are in. So if we are writers, we will have to get more engaged in how can we be more creative than just taking what the chat GPT gives us. How can we make it more interesting? So really, our jobs will become to take our jobs to the next level. Listen, I'm really excited about in healthcare how AI can help. We are at the cusp of personalized healthcare. We're just getting started. But can you imagine AI getting involved in healthcare to really provide us the best service? I hate going to the doctor's office and waiting for hours to get my turn and then, really not knowing what really happened to me. That 10 tests I have to go through and wait for the results. But imagine having AI who understands my genetic code and knows what issues I could have and actually give me a personalized medication. I think healthcare is a great industry for a breakthrough through AI. Also, education. Think about personalized education. If I am not interested in a subject, AI can understand when I'm getting bored and give me a pivot to give me an education track that will interest me. Imagine our kids who are going to be learning using AI, where they will be able to help and go to the next level based upon what they are interested in. And so we are not forcing education on our kids, but the kids are enjoying learning. And I think there's so many really effective use cases in AI, which I think will help not only industries, small businesses, but also humans as a human race. So I'm really optimistic about what possibilities we as people will have in our careers, we might lose the traditional jobs, but we will be creating more interesting jobs for us. So I do feel that we will have better work-life balance. Mental health, they say, could be resolved by AI. I saw a great robot at Harvard lab where the robot was engaging with this woman who had to go to physical therapy. She was a elderly lady, and she looks at she's older, and she's looking at the robot and rolls her eyes, and the robot says, "What, you're gonna roll your eyes at me and not work out?" And she's like, and just smiles, and she just walks with him eventually. So the fact that our mental health issues could be resolved. That example of that movie Her you mentioned, where the software becomes the companion of the person. Those mental health companions are now becoming more available, where they can be companion when a person is feeling lonely or depressed, or reminding the medication. Those are good use cases. And I think there are a lot more opportunities in healthcare and education, in addition to so many others, where I think it'll help human mankind.
Yeah, I think we're at the place already where the job of ChatGPT prompt writer is actually becoming a thing. And maybe we're not that far off from me having my robot dog that I do not have to take for a walk in the winter rain.
Exactly.
I can have all the pros without the cons.
I know.
So how can I start thinking more like Amazon and Tesla? Because I don't have the size, scope, or resources.
Listen, you don't have to be Amazon and you don't have to be Tesla to be thinking like Tesla. You just have to be curious, and you have to be more innovative in your business to know that the growth will only come when you are open to new technologies, new ways of growing your business, and new ways of growing yourself. It's not when, they say the educated CEO, a CEO takes the culture and builds the culture within the organization. So as the leader of your organization, if you are investing in learning yourself, your leaders will learn and your company will grow. So I would say that every leader who's running a business unit or a business as a entrepreneur, you have to invest in your growth, and you have to invest in learning about what technology can do for you. Understand the fundamentals of what and how you can implement. As a Tesla or as Amazon started with selling book and made it really simple. They said one click. How do you make your business so simple that your consumer can engage with you? How can you make your business so simple that you understand what your consumer really truly need? You're not pushing a product on them that they might not need anymore. How can you be ahead of the curve and produce a product like Netflix knows what content you might consume? I mean, when they launched their first series, when any of their original series came out, they already knew it's going to be a big hit. And they knew it because they were understanding what their customer needs were. So you don't have to be Amazon. You don't have to be Tesla. You don't have to be Elon Musk. You don't have to be Netflix. What you have to be, someone who's curious, who's a lifelong learner, who's ready to jump in to evolve and grow their businesses and be ahead of the curve and truly serve their customers and truly understand what their customer needs are. And technology and AI is the best way to get started. And it is accessible to all now. And so really start doing your research and figuring out what products do you need, where, do the power quadrant, as I explained in the book. You can do assessment in your organization and say, where do we stand? Do we have the data readiness, for AI implementation? And can we start creating small, quick wins to take dream big and start small? It's okay to know where you're going, but at least start creating small wins.
It's really something to think about, like an organization being ready and thinking about the technical aspects or the data. But it sounds like you're really talking about developing a culture where one is open to the idea, not fearful of technology, and then really implementing how do you better understand your business and your needs, and how can technology help you?
Exactly. So what I talk about is, first of all, you have to be open. You have to understand that I can be a learner and learn about the technology which you want to implement, and then use the framework. The best way, I say, when you're applying any kind of technology is understand what are the systematic approach of applying technology. Starting with really understanding your strategy, understanding are you ready to implement it, taking the technology. Technology is a tool. So understand which technology will apply to your organization, creating a priority list. You can't just jump in and try to do it all. A lot of times we'll say, oh, I want to change my CRM and ERP and everything. So start small and start thinking about where can you have the maximum value. In the book, I also talk about really understanding where your AI factor falls in. Where is your power zone within your organization? And I talk about really understanding, do you understand what the problem you're solving? Do you understand where is the highest potential value you're going to get? And do you understand where and what data you want to collect? So when you actually have the center of power zone where you can create the multiplier effect is when you have those three bullets clearly defined for your organization. And when you have that, then you can actually truly figure out whether you can create an AI factor within your organization. Can you create a power zone within your organization to start creating, I talk about the flywheel effect. Once you start creating the small one, then you can create a flywheel effect of AI, flywheel effect, because the models really learn from your feedback loop, as I said earlier. And that's what creates multiplier effect for your organization to implement AI and create best use cases where you can see some results.
Well, thank you. It's all been very thought-provoking. Since you are a successful entrepreneur, you've built businesses, you've sold businesses, you're a teacher, you have a great cause, bringing women together in technology and AI. I ask all the Inspired Money guests, how do you define success?
Success is so relative, right? I feel success is, to me, when I constantly keep learning and growing. I think the day I stop growing and stop creating value in the society, I would feel that I'm not being successful. So I think it's, to me, it's not the number. To me, it's the next ladder. Am I growing to the next step in my career, in my thought process, in my impact, in my value creation? And that's when I feel that I'm being successful. And, as they say, you could feel successful today and not tomorrow. And so to me, it is truly about that. It's like, it's a lifelong goal to every day create success in everything I do. So to me, you are successful. To me, I'm successful if I'm creating the value.
Well, it's very impressive because you're accomplishing a lot and you're succeeding in many different areas. Please tell the Inspired Money viewers and listeners where they can follow you, learn more, and get your book, AI Factor.
So there is a website called the AIfactor.ai. So you can go check it out there. But it's available on all the platforms like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and so on. So you can go to any of the retail stores to buy the book, The AI Factor, or you can just search by my name, Asha Saxena. I'm also, you can easily link in with me. I'm on LinkedIn, very active. So if you want to connect or have a question about the book or about anything I discussed, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn under Asha Saxena.
Great. I'll put that all in the show notes. Thanks so much, Asha.
Thank you.
So what was your favorite Inspired Money moment? I loved hearing about how AI and big data benefited companies like Domino's Pizza and Starbucks. I don't know about you, but I don't often think about AI when thinking about food and beverage. My favorite Inspired Money moment was hearing about building ethical AI and how together we can build a digital world of equality. Your call to action is to get involved today. If you had a different favorite Inspired Money moment, please post a comment or find me on LinkedIn. Before you go, subscribe to my email at inspiredmoney.fm/newsletter. Every 2 weeks, we write an email that highlights data, news, and events that we think are worth sharing. Thank you for joining me on this mission. Have an inspired week and do something that scares you, because that's where the magic happens.